Well, 2022 was a little bit of a crazy year, wasn't it? Good thing 2023 is shaping up to be just as crazy. So looking into next year, I want to break down the things that I personally see as popping off in the world of video editing, things from styles and techniques and even software to try and give you a feel for what at least I think is coming down the road next year. Now, I think this goes without saying, but I'm not a fortune teller. Just because I talk about something doesn't mean I think it's the only thing that's going to happen next year. But as we end this year and move into the next one, these are the things that I feel like have the most momentum and the greatest likelihood to take root in the hive mind of humanity. So if you're excited, hit the like button and subscribe, and let's start it off with number 1, AI integrated workflows. If you're like me, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing people talk about DALL-E and Midjourney, and right now it's ChatGPT. It's everywhere, but if you're also like me, you probably feel a little bit like it's a gimmick. It's more of a novelty than a utility. Or at least that's what I did think. Up until now, what I've personally been seeing is people just throwing random stuff at these AI platforms, like let's make fun images with Midjourney or trippy videos with Stable Diffusion. It felt like just one big testing phase for the human race, but now with the release of ChatGPT, it feels like as humans, we're starting to understand how to use this in a way that's not just cool, but it's actually useful. And by useful, I mean things like using it to outline the script of the video you're watching right now. Like, we're nowhere near the place of being able to say, hey, computer, make me a Mr. Beast style video that's gonna get me at least 50 million views on YouTube. No, but instead we can do things like, hey, Midjourney, make me a piece of graffiti art that I can then place into the world of a character walking down an alleyway. By the way, we have an entire video on how to use AI images in your videos if that interests you. But look, the big takeaway here is that as AI platforms are getting smarter and we are getting more intelligent with how to implement them, and as things like Reels and TikToks are pushing us to more volume of content rather than just quality, it seems like a perfect storm for people to start using these AI platforms to make certain parts of their workflow faster and easier. I gave you the example of how ChatGPT helped me outline the script for this video, and it's also great for brainstorming and coming up with things like catchy video names, but I'm also seeing people do things in the pure video manipulation side of things. Like for example, in the recent Corridor Crew video, Fenner managed to take Stable Diffusion and not create an entire video from start to finish, but take an existing video that he created and add the final polish and texture to it, cutting out one specific portion of his workflow. My guess is that in 2023, you're gonna be watching a lot more videos that utilize AI in their workflows, and you'll never actually see the difference. Number 2, silent video with captions. Now, when I say silent video, I'm not talking about creating a video intentionally with no sound. What I'm talking about is expecting your viewers to have a higher likelihood of interacting with your content without listening to it. Whether it's scrolling through on Instagram with every video auto-muted, or if they're swiping through YouTube Shorts or TikTok in bed without headphones and they don't want to wake up their partner, there's a million different reasons why somebody might watch your video without sound, but regardless of why, the data is in, this number is on the rise. So why am I telling you this? Well, regardless of platform or style of video, it's becoming more and more important to be able to add captions and subtitles to your videos. Because maybe your videos are interesting on their own, but the stats are clear. With captions and subtitles, your videos do better. And the ones that have animation and life and energy are the ones that do best. So how do you actually do this? Well, thankfully I saw this coming a mile away, and I actually have a video telling you all about how you can use Premiere Pro to auto-generate subtitles and even add animations to them quickly and effectively to help you save a lot of time. So if that interests you, go check it out and help your videos to do better by keeping your audiences engaged longer. So we've gone over some tech that's helpful and a technique that can help you, but now let's go over some styles that I really think are gonna stand out next year, like animated collages. One thing that we're seeing is that as time moves on, social media has changed the way that both people and brands communicate with their audiences. I don't know how many times I've seen a super clean and polished advertisement and my immediate reaction is just to go, skip. For better or worse, people are getting skeptical and ditching polish in exchange for authenticity. And a super easy way to do that is with a style like animated collages. This is a little bit more reminiscent of creators like Dan Mace or even Casey Neistat, who choose oftentimes to elevate their creative messiness over pristine polish, which immediately makes them more relatable. This style is imperfect by design and brings a unique charm to it by emphasizing that imperfection. It's really good at making things fun and engaging and adding a little bit of charm to something that would otherwise come across as serious or boring, which is why a lot of documentaries actually choose to incorporate a style like this. It really helps to make things feel raw and organic and fun. And I've left a bunch of links to templates in this style in the description below, so feel free to head over and check those out. But if this style is still a little bit too messy for you, you can try something more along the lines of cartoon animations. This is a throwback to a time long ago when people were a little bit more trusting. Now, I get the impression that regardless of who you are or where you're from, the last couple years around the world has left us all with a little bit of PTSD. We just want something that feels a little bit more safe and familiar and comforting, at least from a marketing perspective. And cartoon animations like these are a great way to add livelihood and joy to your videos in an authentic and fun way. They could be your titles or just a little character that appears on screen. This one, for example, sort of feels like a cross between traditional Disney rubber hose animation and something a little bit more like Adventure Time, a personal favorite of mine. But a great part of these is that you don't just have to use these templates on their own. You can get super creative with them in this third style, mixing animation with your footage. This is something we've actually started to implement a lot in our own commercials here at Motion Array. Mixing these styles into your live action footage helps to create depth in a unique way because there's literally two separate worlds taking place in the same space. This last year we also saw this used in popular shows like The Boys, for example. No spoilers. But it might seem a little bit challenging to incorporate 2D animation into your 3D footage. So if you wanted more help with this topic, I've actually already created a tutorial that walks you through exactly how to do this. But if there's one thing that I think we're really going to notice in 2023, it's going to be the continued increase of authenticity over polish. If there's one thing you take away from this video, what I think is going to help you to stand out next year as a video creator is not being able to film with a fancy 8K camera or being able to export with super crisp quality. It's going to be your ability to infuse yourself and your personality into your work. The content that people are finding works and generates success, however you define success, tends to be the content where viewers find a connection. A lot of times we get so wrapped up in having things pristine and perfect and polished that we forget to incorporate the human element. Now that sounds really great to say, but what does that actually mean? Well, I think that a lot of people are still trying to find out exactly what that looks like for them, but really what I'm seeing as a through line for a lot of people seems to be this idea of a willingness to let go of pristine perfection and the ability to embrace messiness. This means that if something happens that you might even consider a mistake, take a moment and consider whether or not it's worth leaving it. Because as much as the video editor in me is looking for every little imperfection that needs to be fixed and to cover it up, there's also an opportunity to connect with your audience by letting them know that you're a real human being. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying to not be professional and not to strive for a high degree of polish in your work. But what I am saying is that while that level of polish might help people to see you as authoritative in your industry, it's not going to develop a connection with them. And as we move through 2023, when it comes to authority versus connection, I guarantee you what I'm going to be putting my effort into is to increase the level of connection. And if you wanted a great example of a creator who I think does this flawlessly, then we have a video all about Nathaniel Drew's editing style, and you can check it out right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the new year.